My name is Adam. I'm 42 years old. I'm a retired multimillionaire, retired last year at the age of 41 years old in 2024. I sell options and I receive dividends and distributions on stocks in order to fund my retirement. If you give me 10 minutes, I'm going to explain to you why you're doing it all wrong when it comes to selling options. Essentially, options are going to be broken down into two parts. One is a cash secured put and one is a covered call. In today's video, we're going to talk about the covered call and my personal strategy when it comes to selling covered calls. This is proven, tested, and specifically logged over the last year with my account, which I show you guys transparently on this channel. A lot of people, when they sell covered calls, they get premium drunk or they start hunting for premium. All that means is you lose sight of the main objective when selling covered calls. Now, there are various types of covered call strategies depending on what you're looking for, but my covered call strategy is straightforward that I'm looking for maximum price appreciation, and I sell covered calls in order to get a little bit extra where hopefully I'm outperforming just holding the underlying stock. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to get extra income. I want to increase my net worth. I want to accumulate asset appreciation. And one way to accumulate asset appreciation is additional premium on top of the actual asset appreciating. What happens is people don't have parameters, and parameters are super important when it comes to selling options, specifically in covered calls. And those parameters make you or break you when it comes to selling options. If this is confusing, just keep listening. I am going to share my screen to show you a few examples of what I'm talking about. A lot of people that sell covered calls, they're looking for an opportunity to get premium. And a lot of times when the price shoots up of a specific stock, they lose their shares. They have to sell their shares, or they're in a very uncomfortable situation where it's very, very difficult to manage that option. When I am selling my covered calls, I have three simple rules. These are like live by the sword, die by the sword type of rules when it comes to options. And it has served me very, very well, specifically for covered calls. The number one goals of selling covered calls is maximum price appreciation. Very, very simple. You want your stock to go up as much as possible. Rule number two is collect the premium while your price is appreciating, therefore beating full appreciation by that much more. So if you're selling covered calls, and let's say you're going to be making 0.5% on your initial cost base every single month, well, now you have full price appreciation and a synthetic dividend of that 6% for the year, right? 0.5% over 12 months is 6% for the year. I'm just giving you guys an example. And this is where people get it wrong. Rule number three. Rule number two should never supersede the main objective of rule number one, which is maximum price appreciation. In other words, I don't give a flying fizzle to collect premium over full price appreciation. I will not sacrifice price appreciation for getting called away my shares unless I want to, unless you want to do an exit strategy. And I believe that is what separates my strategy with a lot of other people's strategy. They get greedy for premiums, and I get it. It's easy money, but there's no such thing as easy money. The easier the money, the more the premium, the more the risks. So for me, I rather collect less premium, sleep well at night, get full price appreciation, and actually beat somebody that's holding just the stock without selling covered calls. Now, I know you're going to say, Adam, well, that sounds great, but how is that achievable? And for me, and again, this is not financial advice, purely entertainment. This is for me. That is achievable by picking the right dates, picking the right percentages in your favor, and picking the right delta. When selling cash secured puts, I try to get 4 weeks out. I go 80% in my favor, 20 delta or less, 0.20 delta or less. and I try to get 2%. Usually I get closer to 3%, but I try to get at least 2%. This becomes a viable option for me. This becomes a viable play for me. And the main objective is don't get a sign. But when I'm doing covered calls, it's totally different. I still like to go 4 weeks out, but I like to go 93% in my favor and a 0.09 or less delta. And in terms of the percentage that I make, that's irrelevant for me. I don't care how much premium I'm collecting because I'm not like trying to get a certain percentage like I am on cash secured puts. I'm just trying to get maximum price appreciation with additional premium, that between the maximum price appreciation and the premium, I have some cash flow and I outperform just holding the stock. By sticking to my system, for the most part, it has been working pretty well for me. I know all of these things sound crazy, so I'm going to share my screen right now and I'm going to show you an example of how I would be selling covered calls on Palantir, how I would be selling covered calls on HUD, and how I will be selling covered calls on SoFi. And then I'm going to show you a covered call that I currently have on Google, and Google just had a massive run up. But before I go any further, I just want to say this Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time PM, we're going to have a channel live. The link is going to be down below in the comments. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to have only channel member lives. And I actually share the link to actually communicate via video. It's not just you typing and me speaking. We actually communicate via video. I have like 10 people up at a time. I did it last week. It was amazing. People loved it. So this week, 9 o'clock PM. And I have weekly Zooms with my entire community on my website. My website link is down below if you want to join the website. And if you don't like the website for any reason, just email me, tumstrpltr@gmail.com, and I will refund you 100%, no questions asked, within the first month. Take a look at the screen. This is Palantir right now. First thing you need to notice is that Palantir over the last month has actually had a bit of a retracement. I think it went up to like $187 or so, and now it retraced just a bit. Please keep that in mind when I'm going to show you how I would personally sell covered calls on this. By the way, I made 2 videos on Palantir on my channel, and both of those expired worthless. Both of them were covered calls. So take that with a grain of salt. Do whatever you want. Could not care less if you do this or not. I'm just explaining to you my system. Very simple. Instead of buy, call, I'm going to sell, call. And expiration is going to be 4 weeks out. Today doesn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to avoid earnings. So don't sell this on earnings. I used to do within a week of earnings, but maybe you want to do it within 2 weeks of earnings. Also, there's certain events like the FOMC meeting, so on and so forth, that maybe you want to avoid. Maybe you don't. I personally don't. But if you wanted to, it's very simple. Ask yourself how high you think Palantir can possibly go in the next month. I like to use that exercise. And then I'm going to look at this. So most people would probably be selling something like this, an 80% in your favor, roughly a 0.29 delta, which goes right at 167.50. And I would not sell this, if I got the best premium in the world. I'm going all the way up to 93%. So right off the bat, I'm looking at this play right here, which is 93%, 0.095 delta. And this would give me 91 cents in my favor. I would actually maybe even go to this 190, which gets me that 0.08. So I would not be selling anything below this 187.50. 187.50 is a very strong number because that is literally where it topped out. And I don't think it's going to get here within the next month. But just to be safe, I would probably end up doing something like this 190 mark. Now, a lot of people are like, Adam, I don't think it's going to go past 200. And to this, I'm going to say, fine, do the 200. If you feel comfortable at 200, do the 200. You do what feels good for you. But what I'm saying is you could literally go to 210 and still collect 28 cents a share. Why not? You could literally go all the way up to $235 strikes and still collect 12 cents on your shares. Now, I know as a percentage, this is not absolutely massive, but this is free money, or as close to free money as possible. Literally, this is a dividend on steroids for me. This is like printing cash. But I would not be selling anything below this 93% mark. And preferably, I want to sell my covered calls on green days. So I probably wouldn't sell this today. I would have sold this yesterday. There was a much better opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, or before yesterday, where Palantir was up. And I was able to get all the way up to at 93%, like 195s or 192.50s. That is Palantir. Now let's go to Hood. Hood right now is red. I would love to do this on a green day, but all the same, let's take a look. Let's go trade options. And before we go any further, let's take a look at the price. As you can see, Hood did go all the way up to 116. Again, remember that price, 117. And it kind of died down from there. And just a little bit of a retest is still doing quite well. There's supposed to be S&P 500 inclusion notice today. I'm not saying Hood is going to get included, but the last time it didn't get included and then reshuffles, I think it got snubbed once or twice for Interactive Broker and AppLovin. Not sure if they're going to make it or not, but let's go trade options. Instead of buy, we'll go sell. 4 weeks out, 1, 2, 3, 4, October 3rd. Right away, I would not be selling any of these. I'm going all the way down to 93%. So 93.67 right here, 0.09 delta. This is probably what I would be picking, giving myself a nice, beautiful 30% run up from the current price right now, which does take into account, even if we do get into the S&P 500, even if we are going to have a really good Fed cut, I think 130 is a safe-ish bet. Maybe you don't want to do 130, go 135. Or let's say you want to go absolutely crazy, go to 155. Do you really think that on the best possible news, Hood is going to go up 55% from here? I don't know. That's up to you. You guys do whatever you want. There is always that chance that you're going to lose your shares. But for me, 155 is a crazy safe bet. I believe 130 is also a safe bet. Let's take a look at SoFi. SoFi is doing great. It went all the way up to that $26 level, and now it kind of came down a little bit, not by much. Let's do the same exact thing. Trade options, sell call, 4 weeks out, go all the way up to 93%. If I was to sell this, I wouldn't sell anything less than $32. I actually made a video on this. Click on the link up above if you want to see a strangle video on SoFi where I do a cash secured put and a covered call for an entry position to reduce my cost basis of SoFi. And I have a $31 call. Today, I wouldn't do the $31 call. I would just go to $32, which for me is pretty safe, 0.09. You see, it's a revolving door of parameters. 93% and up, 0.09 or so. Don't really care about how much I make. You want to go crazy? You can literally go with $35. It's not as lucrative as the Palantirs and the Hoods, but it's not bad. Before I go any further, let me show you an actual case that I have with Google, but I want to just show you something that there is a technical analysis that I use, right? I do use technical analysis. By the way, for my community members on my website, I have a brand new tutorial how-to video about technical analysis. If you join the website, even if you join and want a refund, you get that video for free. In any case, I like to pick a strike price on my covered calls that is above the outside of the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Band top is 188. If I was to go to that 190 level, this looks good technically for me. And then I like to look at the RSI. Are we bottoming out or close to be bottoming out? Are we not bottoming out? Do you think we can go a little bit lower? And this is showing me that it's a little bit of a bearish trend in a bearish channel. And same thing with the stochastic, so on and so forth. I would do the same exact thing with Hood, for example, where I'm looking at the Bollinger Bands. The top of the Bollinger Bands for Hood is 115. If I was to sell these 130s, I would feel pretty comfortable selling the 130s on this. And again, the RSI, the stochastic, same thing with SoFi, so on and so forth. You guys get the picture. Now let's look at an actual example. This is Google. Google had an absolutely exceptional month, right? Google had an exceptional month where it's up 20% for the month. Now, I opened these about 3 weeks ago at 821. And since then, Google had a remarkable month. I think it's up like 15% since I sold these. Now I have a $225 strike, and currently Google is at 234. By me doing these 93% in my favor, it's not to say that the price cannot go above that. It is essentially saying that I'm giving myself one bump up in price and a second bump up in price, which is exactly what happened with Google. You had a bump up in price, and then you had a massive run up on price. You had a 5% and like a 10% on Google. If you don't get assigned, all good. But if you are in the money, like with this Google play, my parameters allows me personally to be able to get a very easy roll. So hopefully you don't get assigned, but even if you are, you're going to be like right there. You're going to be right at the money. So let's take a look what I could do over here. I'm automatically going to do something called a Hail Mary. Roll this position. Instead of rolling it for 4 weeks, which I usually would do, I'm just going to go out roughly 6 months. Now, this is a bit less than 6 months. This is about 5 months, but I like to go around that time frame. Now I owe $9.70. I can go all the way up to 250 or 255. So I can roll this to a 255, which is going to give me another 10% bump of where we currently are, right? 233 plus 10% gets me right around this 250, 255 mark, which it doesn't mean that it's going to be safe. It doesn't mean that this is going to work out. It just means that I was able to ride Google from 200 to 233 to 250, 255. And as January approaches, hopefully the price of Google is going to be around that 255 mark, 260, 265. Guess what? I can then roll that into June and probably get my strikes closer to the $300 mark. Eventually, stocks take breaks. It doesn't mean it will happen. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. But usually stocks do take breaks. Look literally what's happening to SoFi right now, right? Super bullish, taking kind of a break. Look what's happening to Palantir. Super bullish, taking a break. Hood, super bullish, takes a break. You can use HIMS. Super bullish, takes a break. NVIDIA, super bullish, crazy earnings, takes a break. AMD, right? All of these stocks take breaks. And all you need is that one opportunity in the break in order to be able to manage your options. Maybe these Google shares get called away at 250 or 255 and Google goes to 300. It's possible. Not everything is perfect. But using my parameters, using my system, using my not being greedy and just collecting premium for maximum price appreciation has served me quite well, where it gives me these opportunities to roll out, right? Earlier this year, I had a problem with NVIDIA. NVIDIA went to like 165, 155. I rolled to 165. NVIDIA hit like 167. And I rolled that one to 205 for January. And guess what? NVIDIA took a break. I probably won't get called with those 205s for January. The point of this video is simple. Don't get greedy selling premiums on your covered calls. The goal is never to lose your shares. Sure, it can happen, but the goal is don't lose your shares. The goal is maximum price appreciation and premium, but premium never supersedes the main objective of maximum price appreciation. When you stack this with managing and doing technical analysis, you're giving yourself a really advantageous position in selling these options. I hope some of these things make sense. And these are just things that I see people doing, in my opinion, wrong. Of course, my opinion doesn't really count. It's just I'm talking for myself, that a lot of people are getting into a lot of deep shit trouble because they're selling at 30 deltas, 20 deltas. And then I tell them, guys, the reason why you're having such a hard time managing underwater positions is because you're selling such aggressive deltas. Forget about the aggression. Take the premiums that you get, forget about the percentages, and just use that to grow your account. Maybe buy some options, buy some shares, whatever you want to do with that. But the objective stays the same. Don't get greedy with covered calls. That's how you can outperform an underlying stock, by getting this synthetic dividend that we call a premium. Nothing in this world is guaranteed. If you are selling covered calls, understand that you could lose your shares. But for me, if Google went from 200 to 250 in a matter of 6 months and I have to sell my shares, I wouldn't even get mad. Not to mention my cost basis is way below the 200. I think I started doing this when Google was like 170 or something like that. So I'm up on my Google position. I collected dividends all of these months. I'm going to roll this up again. And at the end of the day, I'm good. I'm not mad. Thank you very, very much. Please join my live on Sunday. If you want to join the website, please do so. If you don't like the website for any reason within the first month, just shoot me an email. No questions asked whatsoever. I'm going to give you a full refund on the money that you paid. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a fantastic day.